Every generation of believers in the church has had to fight for the purity and the exclusivity of the gospel of Jesus Christ. There is no exception. Beginning in the 1st and 2nd centuries, Clement of Rome, Ignatius, and Justin Martyr gave their own lives unto death to preserve and to protect the purity of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Irenaeus fought Gnosticism in the 2nd century, and Polycarp fought the Roman proconsul in the 2nd century at the cost of his own life. Cyprian fought apostasy in the 3rd century and was sentenced to die for the gospel. He removed his garments, he knelt down, and only said, "Thanks be to God." Athanasius fought Arianism in the 4th century, which denied the deity of Christ and thus was a frontal attack against the gospel of Jesus Christ. Athanasius was unmoved, and he stood contra mundum, against the world. He was willing to be one man, willing to stand for the gospel in the face of the entire world. Augustine warred against Pelagius and his denial of the fall of the human race in Adam and its only rescue by sovereign grace. Augustine took it head on. John Wycliffe, John Huss, Martin Luther attacked the perverted gospel of the Roman Catholic Church with its corrupt system of human works and merit. John Calvin fired volley after volley against Rome and its foul gospel, as well as against the libertines and against the Unitarians and all other attacks against the gospel. In subsequent generations, Christian leaders continued to pay the ultimate price in their hour of history to preserve and to protect the exclusivity of the gospel of Jesus Christ. John Rogers and the Marian martyrs, 284 of them in all, fought against the Roman Catholic Church over the nature of the Lord's Supper, which was in reality a fight over the nature of the purity of the gospel itself. Thomas Cranmer, Nicholas Ridley, Hugh Latimer were burned at the stake at Oxford for the purity of the gospel. As you know, Ridley and Latimer were fastened to the same stake, and Latimer asserted to Ridley, "Play the man, Ridley. We shall this day light such a candle by God's grace in England as I trust shall never be put out." 6 months earlier, Cranmer was bodily and physically removed from his pulpit and taken directly to the martyr's stake, and there he gave his life to uphold the standard of sound words. Jonathan Edwards fought for the purity of the gospel against Arminianism and antinomianism. And when the gospel was all but silenced in the Church of England, George Whitefield took to the open air and went out into the highways and into the open fields and lifted up his voice and said, "I've come here today to talk to you about your soul," and preached the gospel to the multitudes. Archibald Nettleton fought for the gospel against Charles Finney. Charles Spurgeon fought the downgrade controversy over the message and the method of the gospel. And so it goes in every generation. Every Christian leader worth his salt has fought for the gospel, and so must we. Give us some men who know the truth. And who will declare the truth. And who will stand with Athanasius and Polycarp and Calvin and Luther and Whitefield and Edwards, and who will declare from the housetops that the gospel is the power of God unto salvation. Where are those who will say with Paul, if any man preach another gospel other than the one I have preached, let him be accursed. I believe that such men are in this room today. Spurgeon said, John Knox's gospel is my gospel, and that which thundered through Scotland must thunder through England again. Well, I want to tell you, Spurgeon's gospel and Knox's gospel is our gospel. It is the only gospel. Rise up, O men of God. Have done with lesser things. Give heart and mind and soul and strength to serve the King of Kings. Let us preach the gospel, teach the gospel, live the gospel, explain the gospel, expand the gospel, and let the chips fall where they may. Let us please God, and let us not become men pleasers. And all God's men said, Amen. Amen.